So, picture this. You've got a company founded way back in 1876 by a Civil War veteran. No computers, no internet, just a single pharmaceutical chemist setting up shop in Indianapolis. Now, you might be wondering, how does that exact legacy company manage to completely outpace the hyper-modern, disruptive tech giants of Silicon Valley to reach one of the most coveted financial milestones in history? It's a truly fascinating question, and honestly, the answer is completely transforming the global healthcare landscape right before our eyes.
And that milestone? A staggering, record-breaking market capitalization of $1.06 trillion. Just pause for a second and think about the sheer scale of that number. I mean, we're talking about a valuation that rivals the GDP of entire national economies. And it was achieved by a legacy pharmaceutical company based right in the American Midwest.
Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the anatomy of a titan, Eli Lilly's trillion-dollar pill. We are going to deconstruct exactly how this historic valuation actually came to be. We'll be looking directly at the data, the underlying science, and the incredibly futuristic strategic partnerships that made this whole thing possible.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the trillion-dollar milestone, then move to the GLP-1 growth engine, explore the AI-driven future, and finally, look at the risks on the horizon.
Section 1. The trillion-dollar milestone. So, back in November of 2025, Eli Lilly made history. They became the very first healthcare company in the world to reach a $1 trillion market cap. And the historical contrast here is just wild. On one hand, you have their 19th century roots as a traditional legacy drug maker, right? But on the other hand, you have this modern financial titan that's effectively rewriting the rules of the entire pharmaceutical industry. This wasn't just a win for the company itself, it was an absolute watershed moment for the entire biomedical sector.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer velocity of their growth. When we look at the Q1 2026 year-over-year changes, the numbers speak for themselves. We're looking at a revenue jump of over 55%, bringing in nearly $20 billion in a single quarter. But look even deeper. Net income jumped by over 168%, and their cash from operations? Up an astonishing 220%. I mean, these are the kinds of explosive growth metrics you typically expect from a nimble, disruptive software startup, definitely not a 150-year-old pharma titan. It tells us, without a doubt, that whatever they are bringing to the market, the global demand is undeniably massive.
Section 2. The GLP-1 growth engine. The absolute cornerstone of Eli Lilly's rapid growth is a dual GIP and GLP-1 receptor agonist called tirzepatide. Essentially, it's a compound that mimics hormones to suppress your appetite and regulate blood sugar. Tirzepatide actually has two fundamental applications right now. It's marketed as Mounjaro for the treatment of type 2 diabetes, and it's also marketed as Zepbound for chronic weight management. The unmatched efficacy of this drug in reducing weight has fundamentally altered the metabolic disease market. The global demand for these specific solutions is exactly what propelled their annual revenue to such unprecedented heights. It really is a genuine revolution in how we address global metabolic conditions.
And frankly, this perfectly highlights the current market dynamics at play. Because of the immense demand and the highly complex manufacturing required for these treatments, Eli Lilly has secured what is essentially a near impenetrable duopoly alongside its Danish rival, Novo Nordisk. Between the two of them, they are completely dominating the global obesity and diabetes treatment landscape. The sheer volume of need worldwide means that they aren't just participating in this market. Alongside Novo Nordisk, they practically define it.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, the AI-driven future.
What really sets Eli Lilly apart right now is their aggressive embrace of cutting-edge technology. They are actively teaming up with Silicon Valley's brightest through some heavy-hitting tech partnerships. First, they partnered with NVIDIA to utilize AI-driven supercomputing. And second, they've teamed up with OpenAI to leverage generative models directly into the field of biology. They are literally taking the exact same advanced artificial intelligence that powers massive digital rendering and large language models, and they're aiming it squarely at biological modeling and molecular design. It is truly remarkable to see a legacy company acting with the agility and foresight of a tech startup.
So, the crucial point here is this concept of co-innovation.
These partnerships are establishing collaborative labs with a very specific, highly aggressive goal to drastically reduce the time and the cost of bringing new molecules to the market. Look, traditional drug discovery takes years, sometimes decades, of incredibly expensive trial and error. But by using AI to simulate and predict how molecules will behave before they are ever even synthesized in a physical lab, Eli Lilly is accelerating their drug discovery pipeline in ways that we previously considered pure science fiction.
Finally, Section 4. Risks on the horizon. All right, despite the stellar financial outlook we've just reviewed, we do have to ground ourselves and look objectively at the systemic risks facing the company. Step 1. Overcoming supply chain and auto-injector bottlenecks. Producing the physical auto-injector pens at a scale large enough to actually meet this soaring global demand is a major ongoing logistical hurdle. Step 2. Navigating regulatory scrutiny over pricing. As the impact of these drugs expands, there's naturally increasing political and regulatory scrutiny regarding their pricing, which is a highly complex dynamic the company has to continuously manage. And Step 3. Preparing for key patent expirations. Every single pharmaceutical company faces patent cliffs eventually. Long-term, Eli Lilly has to ensure its AI-driven R&D pipeline can successfully replace the immense revenue of its current star drugs once their market exclusivity ends.
Which brings us to a final, provocative question to close out this explainer. Will AI co-innovation and the unprecedented success of GLP-1s be enough to sustain Eli Lilly's trillion-dollar crown? Or will the harsh realities of supply chain bottlenecks and eventual patent cliffs catch up with them? It is a truly fascinating trajectory to watch, a 19th-century company using 21st-century artificial intelligence to address some of the biggest health crises of our time. It certainly leaves us with a lot to ponder about the future of healthcare. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this data, and as always, keep learning.